Hello and welcome to Forever Rugby on Forever Sports for today's preview as the Cheetahs take on the Sharks tomorrow afternoon in Bloemfontein. And some very big news in terms of injuries in both of the teams itself. So before we look at the teams, please do subscribe to the channel, bottom right hand corner there. We are trying to chase 400 subscribers before the end of the year. We are 25 also. Please do show your support. Smash like on the video as well. Jump in the comments. Let me know what you think is going to happen with tomorrow's game. But let's talk about the Cheetahs 15 first. And the big news there is you'll see at number 11, Roscoe Speckman is back from injury, which is a very big boost for the Cheetahs because I think that they had a couple of injuries in the backline. We had Sifran Steyn playing at number 10 last weekend, which didn't really work. It was all right, but it's not his best position. And that's been recognised with a bit of a change. So Roscoe Speckman has come in, which sees William Small-Smith move to number 14. Small-Smith got onto the try-scoring list last weekend and is actually playing some very nice rugby. And then Frans Steyn returns to inside centre, which sees Howard Mnisi on the bench. Dries Swanepoel was quite impressive, worked very hard last weekend, keeps his place. Ruben de Haas also keeps his place. He was in the team of the week for us. And played very nice rugby. And Tiaan May came off the bench and scored a try. So nice depth developing their Cheetahs at scrum half. But then in terms of the pack, Opamo Hodge gets his first start of the competition, which I'm very excited to see because if you go back a couple of years, Opamo Hodge is one of the best flanks in the country. And when you talk about physicality and big play and big presence, he's got all of that. And I look at that loose trio, and that loose trio has got everything you need. I mean, Andise and Sile isn't playing brilliant rugby. Him and Marco Verstappen have been the standout flankers across the competition. Jean-Ray Rudolph has come into the Cheetahs and just fitted it in seamlessly. He's a big ball carrier, works hard. So between the three of them, that is a very, very formidable loose trio that is starting to develop. And then Carl Wagner will work hard. Reniel Hugo as well has been getting better every game. And the front row has to stand up because I think that's where they've really struggled. They have struggled to find sort of that scrum dominance. And I think that, whatever the Cheetahs decide to do in the future, looking at bringing in some front row reinforcements is probably top of the list because across the side, some very good players. But I think that the front row is where they're struggling the most at the moment. And the problem is as soon as you don't have that scrum dominance, as soon as you are conceding a lot of penalties at scrum time, it becomes very difficult to get into the game. I mean, you look at the backline, there's some very, very good players. Clayton Blommetjies, Frans Steyn, Roscoe Speckman can punish sides. But if you don't have that front foot ball, if you are being dominated up front, it kind of starts nullifying the backline threat. And then if you look at the Sharks, talk about exciting players, look at number 23. He was probably streaks ahead in terms of looking good for a call up to the Springbok squad before COVID-19 happened. Aphelele Fassi is back from injury. Very exciting times. And a bit of a selection headache loading for the Sharks because Manie Libbok has been very good at 15 and Curran Bosch has been very good at 10. So now, how are they going to fit in Aphelele Fassi? But if you look at the Sharks side, 1 through 15, Oxenchair plays week in, week out, doesn't get injuries, becoming probably one of the most important players for the Sharks at the moment. Kieran van Fury keeps his place, but John Hubert Mayer comes in place of Mike Kumbarai, who was absolutely decimated last weekend against Dylan Smith. So unfortunately, I think it is a case of him being dropped to the bench there. Ruben van Heerden comes back. He will partner Aston Fortuin. JJ van der Merwe drops out of the 22 because Hiron Andrews is cover on the bench. So a much better lock combination. I probably would have liked to have JJ van der Merwe there, but Ruben van Heerden will be very needed in terms of adding a bit more experience and Lannet. Options. Dylan Richardson, Henko Fantasy, and Boze Noche remain as the loose trio, starting to get a nice combination there. Timlani Boli is playing well though, so I think that it wouldn't be probably not very long until he gets a chance around in the starting lineup there. And then Jaden Hendricks has come in for Sanele Nahamba, who doesn't even feature on the bench, and he wasn't particularly good last weekend. A couple of very poor passes to Curran Bosch, which put them under pressure. So. And I'm a big fan of Jaden Hendricks. I watched him a lot at SA Under-20s and looks like a very nice scrum off, quite a big scrum off as well, which is something quite different. So he gets his first start. Then Penke, Spoon Corsi are the wings. Jeremy Ward comes in at inside centre and he will partner Lakanya and then on the bench you've got Werner Koch who will cover that position. Grant Williams on the bench as well. In terms of the front row, Fez Mbate, Kwesi Mona and Mike Kumbarai. And then as we said, Hiron Andrews and Temelani Boli. So it's a very good Shark side. And I think that if you look at the front row, probably has the edge, especially with the locks as well, over the Cheetahs. And I think that'll be the important battle because if they can get front foot ball, that Sharks backline could do a lot of damage. And the worst thing that could happen is sort of with the game being sort of up for grabs. And then you've got somebody at the pace of Aphelele Fassi coming on. But I mean, you got to look at Manie Libbok. I think he's got a big game this weekend because he's been playing pretty well. And with Fassi coming back in, it's not going to be long until he takes that number 15 back. I mean, he was probably the form 15 in the competition, Super Rugby, at the beginning of the year. So it's very exciting to have him back. And it means that Monty Liebach is now playing for his place, which means that he's going to have to try and really step up his game if he wants to try and get a run out of 10 or at 15 and see where his sort of future lies within the Sharks, because that's kind of why he left. He was deemed to be surplus to requirements at the Bulls, but I mean, to be honest, he probably will be a bench player for the Sharks, because you're going to have Curran Bosch and you're going to have Fassi starting 95% of your game. So Liebach, once again, it's going to be an interesting time in his career where he's had to keep sort of proving himself. And once again, he's probably going to be dropped to the bench quite soon if Fassi starts playing well, and then have to try and rework his way into the setup. So it should be a very interesting game. I think, it is at Bloemfontein, which does give the Cheetahs a very big advantage. But I do look at that side, and I think that, yes, they might not have played well against the Lions, but the weekend before that, they played very well against the Bulls. So the Sharks should edge this, and the important thing for the Sharks, and to be fair, of all the top four sides, is that if they just keep beating the Cheetahs can't catch up to them. So, if the Sharks are looking good to get second, but they need to win a game like this. They slip up here, and suddenly it means that the Lions can pretend, or even the Western Province, if they get playing well, can start looking again at second and third place spot. And home advantage is an advantage. We've talked about this before. We are seeing sides doing a lot better at home. I mean, look at the Lions, who sort of struggle in the Super Rugby Unlocked, suddenly playing games at home and are beating the Western Province, beating the Sharks as well. So the home advantage definitely is a thing. But let me know what you think is going to happen in the game below. I'm going to go Sharks by 12. I'm going to say Sharks by 12. I think they will win relatively comfortably. I think it could be a high-scoring game. I hope so anyway. Hopefully dry conditions, hopefully a good game of running rugby. It should be quite interesting to see how it goes. But let me know what you think in the comments below. As I said, please do subscribe to the channel. Smash a like on the video, and I'll chat to you very, very soon.